All right. Just make sure of something. Yep. Okay. Right here. So, once again, we're making progress. Slowly but surely. Hopefully. We're about halfway through. I got a couple pages done yesterday, which was nice. Very simple pages. At least for now. They're going to be harder when I actually have to do proper color on them. Okay, so actually I want to quickly stretch my wrist here. And I forgot to get water. I'll probably have to get water here in a second. Let me go and take care of this real quick here. Oh, whoops. Yo, Bob. Good to see you. Funny how that works, huh? Let's see, after I finish flatting this page, I'll probably do some concept stuff for the room I've been needing to design. I need to get back to that. Oh my gosh, every freaking time, man. I don't know why I do that. That is so annoying. Come on. Man, I still, even after I get flats done, I still have so much to do on these pages with lighting, particularly this page because it's so open, and some of the more open pages I'm gonna have to really kind of like figure out what I wanna do with them. Let's go ahead and do this. I may have to change the tip on this. Work, 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 work. Yep. I might make it a long day and just do a couple pages. Long stream, I should say. I'm not sure. We'll see. Okay. of a sudden my stomach's not feeling too good. Hopefully I don't have to call it too early, but boy, might. Some peptone. I don't know. Guess we'll find out. Not that I have any. Oh, you're in good company there. Last name. All these guys make puns. That's the tricky part with that technique of just selecting. It's a lot faster, but it's a lot less accurate. But that's all right. That's true, actually, yeah. That's why Squidward from SpongeBob is an octopus. Type like you have one tentacle. I remember I had calamari once. Actually, no, I've had it a couple times now, so I have to think of it. Never really thought much of it, to be honest. Oh. Come on. Are you serious? Come on. Sometimes this tool. That's actually kind of I wouldn't even qualify that as an anti-joke. That's actually clever. Oops. There we go. Still feels funny. Is that some kind of compliment there, King Bob? Going with the backhand. Neat. Let's see. I hate this tool. It's so annoying. Okay, oh, I forgot to do that. Oops. Why am I going all the way over there? I have stuff right over here. Whatever. I guess in some capacity it's faster. Is that the right? That ain't the right color. I don't have. I don't know what markings you have. Let me go back up here and... Oh, whoops, whatever. I think there are certain aspects of the last batch of pages which are stronger, but we won't really know until oops. Oh wait, hold on. Oh, interesting. Won't really know until we get the lighting in. Yeah, there it is. Okay, couple panels done so far. We're making it through. Catch you later there, Trippy. Always glad that you're able to stop by. Oh. That was that whole playlist. That's a fast gonna be. You'll never catch me. Dude, that's how I feel about friggin' just working on this stuff in general. It's like, why am I not faster? And then I remember, oh yeah, I'm doing like 5 jobs by myself. Yeah, that might make it a bit challenging. Seem a bit quieter. I did reset some stuff because a piece of hardware was acting up, so it might be might need to be readjusted. One second. I have an idea. Let's try that. Let me know if that sounds a little bit better. Also might be talking just a little bit quieter. Yeah. Okay, we'll not worry about that too much. All right. But yeah, I mean, when you think about it with comics, I mean, everything that I'm doing is a position, right? Like, an individual does, typically. So, line work, color, penciling, all that kind of stuff. It's like, bring me down, but it's still a little higher than I normally have it. And it's probably for the better, honestly. I'm not sure. But yeah, so it's slow. Because in theory, if I even had one other person working on this with me, it would already be done, right? These pages would already be out. Because while I'm working on the line work, someone else could be working on the color. Yeah. So that's what really makes working on comics alone so hard. Is you got like no one to rely on, and then lettering itself is a whole other thing. That's why, you know, my lettering is probably one of the weaker aspects of the book, because I'm not a professional letterer. It's why I kind of lean on the crutch of doing things in a completely unorthodox way. It's because, hey, if I can't make it professional, at least make it distinct. So I kind of try to find a middle ground between like really high quality professional comic art look and kind of the more simplified, charming, you know, independent look. Do the best I can, at least. Where is... Oh, gotta grab... I mean, kind of crazy to think that if I did have someone to work on this with, I might actually be working on like the end of the comic more so than the beginning, or not beginning, but like only being halfway through. It's amazing what one other person can do for a project. But I don't. And as far as this project goes, I never will, so. It is what it is. Yeah, that's the other thing, right? I mean, that's the big reason why, you know, I don't necessarily have anyone I'm working with, other than the fact that I can't pay them, because you know this comic doesn't freaking sell anything. But just the simple fact that it's like, well, who do you get, you know? But it would be nice, because then I would actually be able to focus on making really good line work and not have to worry about other things, like how long it takes as much. I don't know. I wish I knew how to sell these comics. but I can hardly even get people to read them for free, so, you know. Not the point, I suppose. Let's just work. Yeah, it will. Oh, nice. Let's see. Now, this music's kind of depressing. I guess that's what you get when you click on a playlist titled "You Survived the Nuclear War, but you know this is the end." So, I don't know. I guess I knew what I was getting into. But let's see what we can find here. Screw it. Old reliable. Back to chips. Okay, now. Oops. Apparently we have covers tonight. This is actually a really good cover of this song. It's one way of getting around YouTube's stupid system. cover my window here soon. Hate that the sun just beams down directly onto my Cintiq here. Really annoying. Makes it hard to see anything. Especially with how scuffed the screen is now. I forgot to do that. So. Or did I? No, I didn't. Oh. Oh, whoops. Must have. Oh. Make good cars. I drive an Audi. Interesting way to introduce yourself. Rather unique. that the Isle of Manx flag? Buddy, you gotta figure out your geography there, man. Yeah, no, I've known a couple Germans over the time I've been, well, that still doesn't answer the question why. Two things there. One, why did you share the Isle of Man flag? And two, how in the world is 1939 the original Germany when Germany was unified in, what, the 1800s? Otto von Bismarck's whole thing. And then before that, you had the different Germanic peoples who were united. Heck, that I think Otto von Bismarck was only responsible for the Second Reich, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while since I've looked into that one. Well, I wouldn't know anything about that. But yeah, no, German. I've known a few people from Germany. Really nice people. First recommend. That's a good. Maybe, yeah. Or an empire. Yeah, kind of a funny misnomer. I think you're right. Last name. Funny. I never put that together actually. But yeah, it would have been that region. And it would have been the Franks, which were Germanic. So, yeah. No, I never thought about that. I mean, among other people, they weren't just the Franks, but... In 1714, interesting. Huh. Yeah, it's been a while since I've sat down and really studied just European history in general. I should probably do that, honestly. Dang it, every time. Oh no. Wait a minute. Oh, no, it's right. Okay, good. Okay, I'm gonna... This line work's a little sloppy, but I actually kind of like it. Come for our favorite history lesson? Heck yeah. 800 to 962 to 1806. Huh. For the beginning of the empire as 800 with coronation Frankish king Charlemagne. Yep. Others refer to as beginning as the coronation of Otto the Great. Really? Because Charlemagne is usually considered the first Holy Roman Emperor. But I guess in relation to what would be considered the first German or Germanic Reich. And before YouTube censors me for using a historically accurate term, by the way. Not that I'm monetized anyway. Charlemagne, Holy Roman Emperor, Encyclopedia Britannica, retrieved 16 October 2023. Otto was the first ruler of the Holy Roman Empire, though that term was used until the 12th century. Huh, I guess it's a little bit more complicated than I initially expected, which is usually the case. So much happening at that time. Everyone's just like, well, Rome's gone in a day. What now? Want to spend the next 1,500 years fighting? I'll quote it from Wikipedia. Wikipedia is pretty good about that stuff for the most part. It is interesting. There we go. Much improvement. Heck yeah. Okay, I've got to cover this window one second. Much better. Now you can't see me, but, you know. Amazing how Silhouette can make such art. I studied the ways of depth for years to understand it. Such a foreign world. To be fair though, Silhouette is a good place to start with art. If you can't draw like really complicated things, or you're having a trouble like coming up with good design and whatnot, start with a Silhouette. A good amount of the characters that I designed for this story in particular start out as silhouetted designs. Come on, man. Good stuff that you can't draw. Only because you don't put in the time. That's the only reason. And hey, if you don't want it, then you don't want it, right? Got other things you're working on, or maybe it just doesn't interest you. But that is the only reason. I am literally living proof of that. Because let me tell you, my freaking hands shake like crazy, and yet I still somehow manage to figure it out. In some capacity. I wish I was better in a lot of ways. I think I'm too unfocused to really excel at anything though. I've gotten a decent grip on color arrangement, but even still. I was agree with start with Silhouette. Heck yeah. Well, let me put it this way. It probably isn't the only reason you can't draw the way you look at something you want to, right? But as you draw, you slowly learn that for the most part, that doesn't matter. There are certain styles that are designed to be... I won't use the term easy, because that's kind of the wrong way to put it, but convenient. I'll say convenient. Anime typically being one of them, because the point of anime isn't to be like super detailed, hyper, whatever, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's for animation. And when you're doing animation, you need 500,000 people to be able to draw the same exact thing, right? So it's actually designed for that more than anything, right? But as you're drawing, you have a natural tendency for certain things, right? I think it was Jim Lee said, you know, style is more or less the refinement of your mistakes, more than anything. And one, I fully agree with that, and two, it's why I don't put a lot of stake when people are like, oh, how do I find my style? It's like, you already have a style, you just haven't refined it yet. That's what you should be focusing on. Focus on your fundamentals, and it will come about. Exactly there, Nick. Yeah. Well, like I said, I wouldn't say, like, in some capacity, yeah, easy, right? But, like, in the same capacity, there's no way to make drawing, 50,000 frames easy. I do think, though, that unfortunately a lot has been lost in terms of, especially recently, like, they're producing so many shows now. Don't mean to. Yeah. They're producing so many shows now, so much, like, all at the same time, that it's like there was something really cool about the way, like, the traditional line work and stuff like that from, like, especially the 90s looked. There was an attribute to, again, going back to those flaws, right, that were far more accentuated at that time, and it's the benefit of traditional, right? It is more convenient, ironically, to have something within a traditional medium, whether it be painting or inking and ink, that allows it to just have this natural quality. It doesn't mean that it's impossible digitally, but the tools, it's kind of funny. Digital tools sucked until they were designed more to respond more like traditional tools, in my opinion. That's why it's really nice when a program has proper color mixing or stuff like that. Kind of a best of both worlds kind of scenario. Why not at that rate? Oh, excuse me. Yeah, most people say, like, physical media, traditional media. Although you could call it analog. I mean, analog refers to anything with, if you think of it within the realm of electronics, the difference between analog and digital is quantified. It's 1 or 0. It kind of is filtered and siphoned down to absolutes, right? As best as it can be. Whereas analog is much more, it's a raw value kind of thing within the physical world, space. And that essentially is the same qualification between physical and digital tools. You're when you paint traditionally, you're using atoms, you're using molecules of paint, and fibers and things like that. It's a very raw absolute. It's not quantified, which is kind of the interesting sort of thing about, like, when things started going digital, right? It's like, okay, well, now we can make something perfect, right? We can make something perfectly smooth or with perfect gradient or what have you, And it's one of the first things as a digital artist you have to unlearn or try to move away from when you start learning painting, is you on more than one occasion, on most occasions, you don't necessarily want to just stick to, the airbrush and go through and make things look really, really smooth, right? And make it really big and just do that. You want to understand how to integrate texture because we live in a very textured world. That's something that we can kind of utilize. But from the perspective of someone coming from the traditional world, it's like, well, shoot, I would love to be able to have the option to have a perfect gradient, you know? It's like, man, that sounds great. You know, I don't have to sit there for 100 hours, you know, rendering, trying to get the perfect gradient on like an object that's meant to look perfect, right? Perhaps it's kind of the science fiction piece or something like that. So it's all about how and when the tool is utilized. Hey, what's up there, Breath? Good to see you. Where is... Okay, there we go. Okay, one more panel here. I need to check something here. Catch you later there, Bob. Have a good one. You have a good dinner. For an effective laptop, let's see here. I mean, the hardest part with a laptop is obviously, like, no matter what you do, it's always going to be like throttled, right? Because it's so confined, it's so small, right? Yeah, like last name said, it really depends on what you need. But knowing you and what you do, I would recommend. I actually wouldn't recommend Intel right now because recently they've fallen into their CPUs are kind of like burning up. So I would probably, if you're looking at modern laptops, I would actually probably go AMD. I would, let's see, for our type of work, you know, visual, 2D, animation, that kind of stuff, it's actually really good to go with a stronger CPU than GPU, but GPU is still really important for rendering. I would at least be looking at try to get at least 32 gigs of RAM. The faster the better. DDR4 at the minimum. That shouldn't be too hard. Everything's gone DDR4. It's hard to get DDR3 now, which is good because it's slow. But that's, yeah, I would say, yeah, about 32 gigs at least. It's handy to have, especially if you get into more sophisticated stuff like Blender, which I highly recommend. Let's see what else. GPU wise, I mean, you get yourself like a 30 series NVIDIA, or the equivalent of AMD, whatever Radeon that is, you'll be fine. Between CPU, RAM, GPU, and storage type and volume, I would put storage type at the bottom because, like, well, get an SSD obviously, but like other than that, for the other, I would, for my kind of work, I'd probably put CPU at the top. Just because so much is still done on the CPU. Next would be GPU and then RAM. RAM is significant, it's important, but you can always upgrade it later. CPU, like, and the same thing goes with the GPU, you can always upgrade it later, it's more expensive. But the CPU is a little bit trickier to upgrade. You want to like plan ahead with the CPU upgrading. A bit more, so getting yourself a good motherboard with upgradability. With a laptop, none of this really matters because you can't. It's not convenient to upgrade a laptop most of the time. Oh, that's a cool song. Yeah, we'll go with that. But yeah, so like I said though, just try to avoid Intel right now, specifically 13th and 14th generation processors. They screwed up. They screwed up majorly, and so there's probably going to be a lot of fallout from that. So you want to avoid that. I'm actually thinking for my next machine, I might go full AMD. We'll see though. I'm also thinking of switching over to freaking Linux as well, so, you know. For it to be mobile, it makes sense. Is there anything else to really consider when looking at laptops? Do try to get yourself a solid state drive, a good sized solid state drive, like 1 terabyte at least. Um, Try to think if there's anything else. Oh, do look for a good screen as well. You don't necessarily need like 4K or anything like that, but try to get a color gamut of 100% sRGB at least. That will really help with like color and everything like that. So that's definitely good to have. I think the equivalent of 100% or like 99% is like 72 NTSC. Try to get a little bit better than that. This current Cintiq is 72 NTSC. And it's all right with color. It's good enough, but I do wish it was a little bit more, just had a little bit more oomph to it. So do try to get yourself a good screen. Let's see here. You'll have to look if you do end up going down like the Radeon route instead of the NVIDIA route for graphics cards. You'll have to look into how they work with whatever software you're looking to work with, whether that be Toon Boom, Blender, Clip Studio Paint, all that kind of stuff. Clip Studio Paint, I don't really think does a lot of GPU rendering, which I wish it did, to be honest. But whatever. Maybe eventually. Or maybe it does more than I think. I don't know. But it's just good to know how your graphics drivers interact with your software in particular. Oh, come on. Oh, I need to do the markers. It's been so long since I've gone shopping for a laptop. I'm like running through my head. It's like, okay, what was I, when I bought mine, what was I looking for? It's mostly just a good CPU, good GPU. Yeah. How did you look for stuff? So for RAM, you want to look for at least a minimum of what's called DDR4, and then there's a series of other numbers. It doesn't super matter, but like I think it's the higher the better, the higher the faster, or something like that. I can't remember. But the big thing is just the RAM's kind of the easiest. DDR4, 32 gigabytes, you'll be fine. For CPU, the big things you want to look at are obviously the clock speed, but the clock speed actually isn't everything. You have clock speed, you have the cores, the number of cores that it has, and then also the generation that it is. The generation that it is, even if it's a lower clock speed, chances are it's still going to be faster than an older generation because of architecture shenanigans and how they're built and stuff like that. So for like the big benefit of multiple cores is multi-threading, being able to run multiple processes at once, or your program having access to more resources. The thing is that a lot of the programs that we tend to use like Clip Studio Paint, for example, as far as I'm aware, still do not support multi-threading. So that means that clock speed is a little bit more of a precedence over core count. So if you were to get, let's say, a 6-core CPU, like an AMD, like a Ryzen 5 or whatever it would be, 6 cores, but it's, 4.0 gigahertz versus like a 12-core 3.5. In some instances, you will be better off with the lower core count. And so that really kind of comes down to which program uses what. So there's that. For GPU, it really comes down to how much video RAM is accessible. So that's kind of the easy measure of it is there more video RAM available? Or is it a faster type of video RAM? Because much like regular RAM, it uses the same DDR scale, except for it's a little bit different. So you have things like, they run on things like DDR5, DDR6, DDR, 6XR or something like that is like NVIDIA's fastest or whatever. So obviously you want that to be higher, essentially, right? Whereas your programs with since multi-core CPUs have been out about for a while now, makes me question their engineering decision. I mean, like, honestly, like, I don't know why a lot of programs don't. I don't know if, like, for, like, well, okay, After Effects is Adobe, so what do you expect, right? I'm, like, 99% sure that DaVinci Resolve supports multi-threading. I'd be extremely shocked if Blender didn't support multi-threading, but that mostly works off of GPU acceleration anyway. Clip Studio Paint, I don't know why. If it doesn't, I don't think it does. I could probably test, to be honest, myself, get some numbers. Actually, hold on. But yeah, so that's kind of when I'm like going through looking at a machine. Obviously, for the most part, like higher number means better. The other thing to pay attention to with CPU is what's called the CPU cache, which is kind of like its own personal little cache of RAM, sort of, that it can use for like clever little CPU tricks and stuff like that. So if you have a higher CPU cache, like 32 megabyte or something like that, that will put less strain on your RAM and will be like way faster because it's more immediate. Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny because like I mean, you know me, like I that I teach, but what I've really noticed is a lot of like older people think, oh, this new generation has had technology surrounding them for their entire lives. They've been on the internet and stuff like that. They must know exactly how it works, right? And it's like, well, no, because technology has been taken to such an abstraction that they don't need to, right? When I was growing up, it was kind of beneficial if you were into technology at all, to know what a clock speed was, to know what a directory was, to know how computers essentially worked, right? And so you learned that stuff. The only people who didn't know that were the ones not using computers, right? Well, nowadays everyone uses a computer, but that doesn't necessarily mean everyone knows how a computer works. And that goes for these kids as well, in high school or middle school or whatever. They're not tech savvy at the end of the day. They're design fluent. They know how a design is supposed to work. They know how to read the design because it's been standardized so much by Apple and co. So that's actually where things kind of are. So what's kind of funny is you have a generation that is really tech savvy, but then unless you have the following generation is one where it's like, unless they're really actually into computers and how computers work and think. So it's kind of funny. There's a disparity where it's like you either know nothing or you know everything, right? You're like building it in Minecraft. You're building 8-bit processors in Minecraft, you know? So that's kind of a funny thing that I've really noticed. Actually. It's like I'll sit down with a student and be like, guys, how do you not know how File Explorer works? How do you not know how to like go through the files in Windows? I see you on your phones all the time. Like, you use computers every single day. And then I actually use an Apple product and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is garbage. Yeah, it's funny last time. Like, it's crazy. Like, they know what it is, but they don't know how to use it. Really. They don't know how to, like, really organize files. They don't know how to, like, find things a lot of the time, right? They don't know where things wind up when you save them. You know, they don't pay attention to those things. They just kind of expect the machine to do it for them, right? Which is what Apple does. And it's horrendous when you're trying to organize things. Yeah, exactly. It's crazy, right? Yeah. It's kind of a nightmare when I'm like trying to teach them. I'm like, okay, save this. Okay, where'd you save it? It's like, oh, I'm like, oh my gosh, guys, you need to find this stuff. You know, and we're talking, it would make sense if you're like in middle school, like a kid that's in middle school, right? Because like, sure, right? But like, you're in high school, you know, you should know how to do this stuff. So kind of funny, kind of something that I've really had to take a step back and like figure out, like, okay, I need to actually approach teaching this like I'm teaching someone older, which is really funny. All right, catch you later, bro. Hopefully you find yourself a good laptop. Feel free to reach out to me any way you can. If you're like, hey, does this look like a good one? I can give you like more feedback or get some other opinions as well from people I know. So yeah. Okay. Wait, why did I do that? No, I didn't. Well, this song's a little loud, isn't it? You know, there's certain things about this page I wish were a little stronger, man. This batch of pages, but oh well. It is what it is. There's always weak pages in every chapter I do. Every batch I do, honestly. Just don't have time to make it perfect. I've heard it said that the ideal is 80%. Get to about 80%. And call it good. Move on. So I try to remember that. Otherwise, you won't ever finish it. There's always that last, in particular, that last 10%. So if you're moving past that 80%, you're getting up to that 90%. All you're doing is you're setting yourself up to make your life really, really hard, right? No. All right, we're almost done here. You know, actually, I'm gonna try something. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Okay, that's that page done. I'm gonna do the backgrounds in another pass, basically, as I do lighting and stuff. Okay, so we have 5 more pages to do. I'm gonna be real, I don't feel like doing another page. It's been a couple hours. Also don't feel like drawing. So I don't feel like working on the room stuff, so. I don't know, I've been kind of out of it lately, and I find that, like, it's better to kind of lean off than anything. So, yeah. Okay, anyway, I'm gonna call it here. Thank you guys for passing by and stopping by and being cool and stuff. So, this has been interesting. Well, I appreciate you saying that there, Nick. All right, yeah, it's kind of an interesting stream, wasn't it? All right, take care. Goodbye. I'll be back on Tuesday doing more of this for sure. So, yeah. See ya.